If you're into overly complex RPGs, stay tuned. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and watch till the end. It helps the video and the channel. Now enjoy the complexity of a League of Legends RPG. Ruined King is a game that allows you to play how you want through an old school JRPG style of combat, with the skills and techniques to be absolutely degenerate. Each character has their own unique qualities and attributes, like using tentacles to hentai bandits, using invisibility to slit enemies' throats, absolutely overwhelming enemies with gunfire,
Waste of ammo.
and devouring enemy souls. Technically, they're mines to heal your allies. These are all skills you might find endlessly useful or even useless, using it just so you can see the animation once. It all depends on your playstyle. But let's calm down and start talking about the simple mechanics before escalating to the complex. It's your average JRPG combat system, with everyone standing in line patiently waiting for their turn to be punched in the face. But by using the laning system, a more complex and intricate version of the legendary Gradia initiation point gauge system, players can select an action for the characters to carry out, attacking, defending, and casting spells. All the usual RPG shit. But with all the info on the gauges at the bottom of the screen, giving you a detailed layout on how the next turn will play out. Ruined King's innovation on this system is the laning system. Every character has 3 instant skills, 3 ultimates, and 6 laning abilities with a passive skill. Instant skills do 2 things: damage and generating overcharged mana. The second one is your defensive properties, and a third for tanks usually being taunt, and everyone else a more versatile skill, usually still dealing damage. Overcharging mana allows you to use magic or laning abilities in this game without wasting mana. Basically, overcharging is recycling magic power. Some characters get more of it than others, taking time to cast and being each character's most useful skills, with some extra attributes for being fast, really fast, or slow, changing when you attack with them, and when your turn takes place. All of this is made even more important because of what makes Ruined King's combat so unique. The hazard zones and buff zones, using the speed and power lanes to avoid or enter these zones alongside using fast or slow kills to fully utilize your turn's positioning. Then we got our ultimates, our Final Fantasy VII summons basically, usually doing the most damage or the best healing, made for clutching out situations more often than not. Now this all seems very intimidating. I mean, even after reading my own script, I feel it is. While the tutorial kind of rushes through a lot of these details, as long as you're paying attention, you will slowly learn how to fully utilize the speed and power laning system. If you thought the last section was complex, which technically it was, now we'll talk about the most complex part of the game, the builds, having 3 important factors: the equipment, the ability perk system, and the ruin system. The equipment, as per usual with RPGs, modifies your stats, doing the usual, like allowing you to hit someone like a steroided Mike Tyson. But let's simple jack these different pieces of equipment, modifying different stats, like damage dealers wanting attack power, tanks wanting defense and health. Now, unlike a looter shooter or a Diablo, levels and rarity doesn't add special perks, usually, but add higher numbers to the stats it grants. So all purple ringed finger clubs have the same stats, if they're the same level and same color. It sounds more complex than it is, but can be very useful when abused. Runes are 16 buffs between 2 classes for all 6 characters. It changes how every character plays, changing tanks into support healers and vice versa. changing how your damage dealers actually do damage and their priorities in battle. After using enough points, you'll earn mastery runes that are massive upgrades. Skills can also be individually leveled, using points that you gain per level to be allowed to upgrade each skill, like an XCOM character. 6 perks per ability, with 3 being purchasable. You can only pick 1 perk per level of skill, limiting your choices somewhat. But with 6 laning skills, 3 instant attacks, and a passive to upgrade, you're going to have a lot to pick and choose from, allowing you to pick your best skills. With great and colorful dungeon designs, incredibly robust puzzles that make you feel like you're in a classic RPG, with its own League of Legends flair, bringing you into the world of Runeterra, with traps all around, even making combat more difficult, like the smoke and slow fogs, or just doing raw damage like a cannon firing on you. Even some that utilize enemy placement, like the JRPG classic Last Remnant. You can bunch enemies up for more difficult combat, meaning higher rewards, experiencing gold. And it'll also be used for incredibly devious traps, with each character having their own unique way to initiate combat, allowing for their own level of strategy. Yasuo slowing enemies, Illaoi creating more tentacles, Braum causing concussions. The party of Rune King is what makes this game special, because the whole game from top to bottom is built around them. So let's talk about the cast. Illaoi, the prophet of the Great Kraken, truth bearer of the Nakaroboros, the god of the Serpent Isles, and the spearhead of the war against undeath. She uses her powers to find those who are worthy in the battle against powerful spirits of the Black Mist. This adventure will test her faith in Nakaroboros, her friends, and the residents of Bilgewater. She is a healer, damage dealer, and a tank, but a jack of all trades is a master of none. But if we're creative, we can do special things with her, like her healing abilities, breaking the game. Test of Spirit heals anyone for every attack against that enemy. It's just great. And because Illaoi's passive, creating hentai scenes every battle, with her defense and high health, and healing off of every skill, she can frontline any boss battle and heal her and her team to full. So all you really have to worry about is getting one shot. Oh shit. Never mind. That's not even a problem. Late game, her single healing ability revives people, or her ultimate becoming the greatest comeback mechanic of all time, healing everyone and reviving the dead. The tank in the heart of the Freylord, Braum, journeys to the Shadow Islands from an incredibly dangerous and contagious disease called sinking a ship on the way there and joining Illaoi to look for the cure that's on the Shadow Isles. If you abuse his runes, you'll be able to use a mechanic known as his damage shield, starting with that and overcharge, so you can instantly taunt. Braum's major mechanic is to shield him and his teammates, so no one can actually take damage. With his insane defenses and ability to disrupt the enemy, he can mitigate damage better than any character in the game. Braum also has the ability to make every enemy encounter a 90s wrestling show. That's because he causes concussions. When hitting someone, he causes the concussion debuff that stuns. It of course stacks after every hit, till it stuns them. He buffs allies too, but I rarely use Braum for his buffs. The mercenary that lets the wind take him wherever it blows, Yasuo. On the run from his past after his master was killed and he accidentally killed his brother, meeting a strange woman who needs a bodyguard, and losing her once she gets to the islands. While looking for her, he saves Braum and Illaoi from undead pirates, as they agree to help each other. He is also the first real damage dealer and one of my favorites. See, just like how Yasuo is guided by the wind, that's also how he fights. RNG. Becoming his best weapon because, for Yasuo, critting is everything. Creating flow stacks, allowing him to create damage shields for himself. Allowing for Yasuo to take a stray hit and survive to do more damage. Some attacks even granting him extra turns, but He can also generate power for his ultimate laning abilities, with those becoming even more powerful and being used without using mana, like Gathering Storm and Raging Wind. Raging Wind is his single target version and one of his most powerful attacks, allowing Yasuo to hit more often if he crits. With the right perks, he can apply a bleed effect with each crit, making him a monster of damage. Then we got the Queen of the Pirates, Miss Fortune. Accurate and deadly, she must lead and protect the city of pirates, all while trying to get revenge for her dead mother, killed by the hands of Gangplank, the former leader of Bilgewater.
Gangplank, I thought my hatred would die with you.
That somehow survived their last encounter and allied himself with the spectral monstrosity Thresh. She's more than just a queen of the pirates, she's also a devastating force, all about hitting fast and hard, the queen of Mike Tyson's strategy of punches and bunches. Her passive strut giving her increased speed, making sure she has more turns. It's a massive upgrade when leveled, including crit chance, increasing her chance to crit in the stacks as long as she's not hit, pairing incredibly well with tanks, and maybe the best AoE damage dealer in Rune King. Like her League of Legends counterpart, she loves to spray bullets, and that's what we do here. Miss Fortune's best rune for this is Trick Shot, generating overcharge with each crit, meaning after the first turn and generating 20 overcharge, I just start spamming Shredder, with it now having 9 shots instead of 6, with each hit having the ability to crit. You basically have full overcharge for the rest of the battle, and when you get down to one enemy, they take all 9 shots. She was basically my best character. Pyke, the ex-pirate sacrificed to the sea because of his captain's incompetence and fear, now having one purpose, to become the retribution of the sea, spawn with water magic, removing any sea captain from the equation with sheer violence, and that includes Gangplank and maybe Miss Fortune. Pyke only joins because after Illaoi finds him worthy, and hearing new voices in his head, he decides to help a ragtag crew to kill Gangplank. With his devastating assassin skills, being able to disappear and hide in plain sight, and kill anybody in a single blow, he's the hardest hitter of your damage dealers. All about the main combo of going stealth, protecting him from being targeted, and then going in for the attack. He also has a lot of other skills, including massive amounts of dots on enemies with powerful debuffs. Pyke's playstyle is very fun once you get the hang of how to juggle stealth and debuffs to maximize his damage potential. And with his playstyle being so unique and effective, it makes it hard not to put him on your team. Ahri, the nine-tailed fox and the last of the Vestali race. Looking for answers to what happened to her race and how to stop her unending hunger. Needing a powerful bodyguard on her trip, she hired Yasuo, but after her urges began to arise, she left him to pursue the answers of her heritage. By herself, she went to the Shadow Isles. The Essence Thief herself is the most powerful healer and magic damage dealer, with the ability to disrupt enemy forces, and remove debuffs and control the battlefield. Ahri is a very powerful character who has the ability to do anything on the battlefield, especially with powers like Foxfire. Once it is cast, you can do anything else while she does massive damage. Like Yasuo, she's an RNG character, just in a different way. It helps that she has the ability to control the battlefield, using her charm and healing abilities. While it kind of sounds like she's nothing special, she is also one of my main characters for the second half of the game. I mean, just look at this fight.
Just getting started. That was satisfying.
Rune King's not your average copy-paste DPS tank healer type RPG. It can be, if you're not very creative. I played on the second hardest difficulty, and there were times where I didn't even use a healer. Some of your tanks can be built as damage dealers. There was a point where I ran 2 healers and 1 damage dealer. It all comes down to your team's cohesiveness. While there's clearly an ideal structure, it can be broken to do some stupid shit. There are multiple boss fights I went into with terrible team setups, and still came out on top. That's because the cast is so useful and versatile. It's all about strategy, and not having to worry about the optimum strats. You just have to make them optimal, using something I like to call skill expression. For this game, it'd be more along the lines of character expression. Every build can be mid-maxed, but where's the fun in that? That's what made me addicted to this game in the first place. The Black Mist permanently shrouds the Shadow Isles, a land tainted, corrupted by malevolent magic, drawing the spirits of the dead to haunt the land for eternity. The power of the Shadow Isles is getting stronger with every passing year, allowing the Black Mist and its denizens to extend their range and reap souls all across Runeterra, starting with their neighbor, Bilgewater. To simplify the story, it's all about our crew trying to stop the Rune King, Gangplank, and Thresh. But how would that last 40 plus hours, you ask? It's more about the characters and their journey, being a character exploration type story, than the world saving kind. The true depth comes from each and every character's interactions with each other and the world around them, with great world building, cool side stories, and true camaraderie towards the end. The Rune King story is very important, but it's important for how our characters overcome it. Characters questioning their faith and resolve for their own personal journeys, some struggling with the mistakes they've made and who they really are. Airship Syndicate Entertainment created 2 games, Darksiders Genesis, and the reason I purchased this game, Battle Chasers Night War. Rune King is basically an upgraded Battle Chasers. Might as well be a sequel for all the improvements that you would expect. Better menus, better combat, better storytelling, and kind of the same art, with a decent amount of the leads previously working on the entirety of the Darksiders series. Airship Syndicate was approached after their success with Battle Chasers by Riot Forge Games. For better or for worse, we got this instead of Battle Chasers 2. You can watch the rest of this interview through a link in the pinned comment or in the description below for cool development stories like why Pyke is in the game. I want to say this game's amazing. Flawless even. If it wasn't for the fucked quests. Like legendary quests that I can't complete. That's right, uncompletable quests. This little part here where I can't pick up this note, now I can't use Misfortune's best weapon, and she's my favorite and best character. Accidentally refighting boss fights because I kept clicking the objective even after defeating the boss. I had an earlier quest where I couldn't spike a man's drink because the waitress wouldn't let me ask her the question. Late game, a cutscene got interrupted, so I had to fight with a completely black screen.
You want a shot at me?
Then there's the reuse of assets from the other title, Night Chasers. But for someone like me who's obsessed with team building and strategies with complex and difficult enemy encounters, I was addicted from jump, skipping on streaming Final Fantasy VI and doing my next video.
Oh, baby.